Another thing to think about is the tone of your essay. And tone is another word for attitude. What kind of attitude are you trying to portray to your audience? And to give you an example of what I mean by attitude, in Chapter 2, under the section called Tone, there are two short paragraphs that are indented in the page. And the first one says, during the 1960s, many inner-city minorities considered the police an occupying force and an oppressive agent of control. As a result, violence against police grew in poor neighborhoods, as did the number of residents killed by police. That's paragraph number 1. The next paragraph is an occupying force, an agent of control, an oppressor. That's how many inner-city minorities in the 60s viewed the police. Violence against police soared, police killings of residents mounted. Now, did you notice a difference between those two paragraphs? They both say basically the same thing, but in different ways. The first one sounds like it could be read on the nightly news. The second one sounds more like something that could be read by that movie voiceover guy. An occupying force, an agent of control. So these two paragraphs, even though they say basically the same thing, and even use kind of the same terminology, it's the way they say it presents two very different tones. The first one is kind of subdued and straightforward and very objective. The second one has a kind of a different tone. It's a little more forceful and it's more powerful as well. How you can portray different types of tone is through your word choice. I'm going to give you a few definitions here. First, the word denotation. Denotation is simply a dictionary meaning of a word, generally a neutral meaning of a word, whereas connotation refers to the emotional weight that words carry. The connotation can be positive, connotation can be negative. I'll give you just a brief example to help illustrate what connotation is. Think of the word accident. Accident is more of a denotative dictionary word with kind of a neutral meaning. Accident could be any number of things. Accident could be I tripped over a toy and I stubbed my toe. It was an accident. Another type of accident could be I totaled my car and was in a coma for 3 weeks. That's another type of accident, although they are two extremely different occurrences. The way connotation fits into this example is that where accident is kind of a neutral, denotative word, another word that means pretty close to the same thing as accident could be used interchangeably is the word mishap. Mishap is the example where I tripped over the toy, or I stubbed my toe, or I got a splinter in my finger. That's a mishap. Whereas tragedy is another word that could be somewhat interchanged for the word accident. The example where I totaled my car and ended up in the hospital in a coma for 3 weeks, that's more along the lines of a tragedy. Think of when really bad things happen, like bridges collapsing and tsunamis. Those are big tragedies. And the bridge collapsing is an accident, but it's a very big type of accident. It's on a very big scale. So even though those 3 words could mean, somewhat, or those 2 words, mishap and tragedy, both can be interchanged with the word accident. They have completely different connotations. So connotation is that emotional weight that words carry, and you can really set a tone by using words that have a really strong connotation, whether it be positive or negative. But using those words that carry the biggest emotional weight are the way that you can set the appropriate tone that you wish.